right place to be able to add things like the mouth and up around the eyes and stuff. So let's go into the side view here, and we can see his mouth sort of extends out. It's got this kind of overbite. It's right up here. Well, we need some edges there to start to define that a little bit more. So we can either use this edge or we can add another edge. Let's start with kind of what we have and then add edges from there. So I'm just going to select these points. I'm just going to move them up into kind of the right spot here. And here we can kind of just move these to, so it's, kind of smoothed off there as far as the placement of it goes. Let's go to the knife, and I'm just going to add a loop right in here. Be careful when you add these loops. You want to go all the way to the end to add it in. And then we can come in and we'll just pull this out a little bit. Kind of use that to better define the shape of the head. Okay, and let's kind of pull these points out here, kind of where his mouth and nose is starting to come out. Now here is where we want to start to kind of split this apart. You can see this is all sort of connected up if I kind of pull this out. Okay, so one way to sort of just start doing that is to just make a cut that goes kind of all the way up in here. Now I don't want to just come to a point right in the corner of the mouth. I want to have a little bit of room there, and we're actually going to have several lines kind of coming in there. So to make room for that, I'm going to kind of move this up a little bit. And then instead of drawing this out right to this point, let's actually just add another loop. So we'll do knife, add another loop kind of right in there. And then let's select the polygons from the front here. So I'm going to select just like that guy. And let's select this one. And I think one more. And we'll go ahead and delete those. And then we can come in from the side and get that overbite. Start to come in and take these points here and pull these back into the head a little bit more. Again, just in that one axis though. And then we can kind of take some of these other points, move them up. Kind of move this one back a little bit. So we can start to get that rough mouth shape in there. So you can see we get something, it's pretty rough, but something like that. Now around the eyes, we want to have kind of a loop structure, so we could do like a blink if we wanted to. And so I want to come in and create a little bit more resolution right in here. So let's select this edge loop. And I'll turn off boundary. And I want to stop at the boundary, so I'll stop right there. And let's use bevel. I'm just right-clicking to access those. And that allows to add a couple of new edges in here. And let's add one more edge loop right in here. And then I want to define an area where I want this eye socket to be. So I want there to be a little bit of separation between the upper lip and the eye socket. So I'll kind of bring these points down a little bit. And I'm thinking of at least having 4 faces define the area where we'll bring that eye in. And so I'll just kind of start to move some of these points around a little bit. To create kind of a circular shape, sort of right in there. Okay. Now you can see it sort of beginning to form right there. Now some of these are getting sort of off, so we can pull those out in that particular axis if we want to, but we'll be able to detail these a little bit more once we've got the eye actually built in, but you can kind of see where we're thinking about putting it. So from the side, it's kind of right there, right in here. And just to make that clear, we can select those. I'm going to hit I to insert. You can also right click and go to extrude inner. Did I say insert? I meant extrude inner. And we can extrude that in. And that gives you kind of an indication of where that eye is going to go. Now, if we want to see this kind of unfolding on the other side as we work, we can go ahead and add a symmetry object, and then all we have to do is drag the piece of geometry underneath symmetry, and you can get a better idea. So you can see he's really coming to a point there, so this gives us a good idea of, okay, I need to come in and grab these points and kind of move them forward a little bit. So it lets you kind of see, and then later on you'll be able to bake that down into real geometry. But here it just allows us to see both sides at once. Now, if you're just starting out working symmetrically, then this may be a better way to do it. After a while, though, you'll start to understand, how things are going to look. But oftentimes, they'll be a little bit too pointy when you do that. So it's always a good idea to kind of check. Okay. I also want to maintain this sort of underbite. So I'm going to kind of take this lower lip and jaw inside of this upper one a little bit more. All right, so it's starting to look like something anyway. So let's get it to this point where we've got the mouth sort of cut out, and then we also have an area for the eye defined. And in the next lesson, let's